Good morning, race fans. Chris here with Jägerbaum's Fantasy Sports, bringing you the daily fantasy NASCAR Race Star Show. This week we got the DuraMax Texas Grand Prix from Circuit of the Americas. So we're taking off, shifting gears a little bit this week, getting into some road racing. So things are going to change up after back-to-back super speedways. Got some practice times to go over this week and some other stuff, just getting things set up here. If you are in the chat already, please just drop who your winner is going to be, who you think your winner is going to be, maybe some strategy that you're looking for. And if you've got any questions, make sure to get those up in the chat, and I will get to you as soon as possible. I'm just throwing this up on Twitter, so just give me a couple moments here. And we've got some new things to show you in terms of our projections and our ownership this week. So please join us in getting some questions out there. I love the feedback. Please get into Discord if you've checked out the projections, the ownership, which aren't on the main sheet yet for any of the members. I've only got it on the sheet that I've got copied here for the show. Once the show is over, I will get those projections both for DraftKings as well as the ownership projections up as soon as possible once the show is over. So make sure to get over to that and check that out. Been a pretty exciting weekend so far in terms of racing. The truck series went down to St. Petersburg, Florida for a street race. It was pretty good. And then we had SVG yesterday taking the win. Him and Connor Zilic were starting on the front row, so it was pretty exciting there at the start. Pretty good race, but in the end, SVG came through, of course, got another road course win. He is here today. The pricing yesterday was a little crazy with 14 and 15,000 for those two drivers. A little bit more balanced today with a lot more, I guess you'd say, road course experience among the racers in the field. Give me a second. I'm just going to hit send here, and we will take off with that. And we will discuss some of the top drivers here for this week. And Bob's in the chat. Good morning. How are you doing this morning? Best way to play 3 or 5 man. Honestly, Bob, it's how much risk you want to put. If you're confident in, I'd say like really confident in 4 drivers, and it doesn't, leave you strapped in terms of how much salary you're going to have left over, I would say put those 4 drivers in all 3 lineups in 4 or 5 if you're playing 5 man. But if you're not as confident in some of those drivers, maybe switch it up and only put, say, 2 drivers that you're really confident in 3 or 4 lineups, and then mix up the rest. It's really how much risk you want to put towards that. So we can definitely discuss that after. Share some lineups with me in chat, and we can kind of go over some best practices or what have you. So we can definitely do that. So we're going to jump into the sheet here. Just give me a second, and I will flip that over for everyone. Get that out of the way. Yeah, so the pricing, we've got SVG's at the top, 13,000, Connor Zilic, 11,500. So a little bit closer together in terms of balance of the rosters and the salaries this today versus what we've seen yesterday in the O'Reilly series. SVG getting that win, like I said. We do have practice and qualifying to go off of this week. We've got for the Cup Series is nice because we got 5 and 10 lap averages, so we can use some of that data. As you can see, it is already factored into the model. The model may see a few adjustments before the race starts that you'll see on the main sheet. And for anyone that's in here, isn't a NASCAR member, isn't an All Sports member of Jägerbaum's Fantasy Sports, right now for a limited time, you can head over to patreon.com/Jägerbaums, choose the All Sports package, and for $5 for the first month, this limited time offer expires at the end of this week. So I believe you can use it for this race. It's probably, I'd have to double check, but I think it expires before next weekend's race. So you want to get in now. And what's that? For $5, that's going to give you access to all 3 series, the trucks, the O'Reilly Auto Parts series, and the Cup series. All of our cheat sheets, our Discord chats, our news, the fantasy matrix, the playbook, the picks, the cores, all that kind of stuff. But not just for that for $5, which the regular price for one sport is $15 a month. So for that $5, you're not only just going to get NASCAR, you're going to get everything that we're doing right now. We've got NBA, we've got NHL, we've got college basketball. Dane's been pretty red hot heading into college basketball, into March Madness, which is about to start here. Things are going to get really exciting for that. So you're going to want to get it on that. He has a full sheet just for betting, as well as the DFS and the daily slates. We've also got usually a March Madness challenge that we got going on in our chat. We've got PGA going on right now. We've got the Cognizant Classic, which yawn, thankfully, is over today. And then we head into the Arnold Palmer and then the Players. So things are getting real excited on the PGA side of things. MLB's in spring training, so that's coming back as well. So for $5, unmatched in terms of value that you're going to get for that. So make sure to head over to patreon.com/JagerBombs and use, when you grab that all sports package, use code Jaeger5, JAGER, number 5. Thanks, Bob. I really appreciate that. Very active in chat. We really do appreciate you. All the questions, all the feedback, everything, joining the shows, social media, everything, man. So really appreciate you. All right. So heading into the cheat sheet here, like I said, we got SVG and Connor Zilic up here at the top. Qualifying a little bit different. SVG talked about it. They didn't really have a good qualifying run, but when we look at the practice speeds for him, he was third in 5 and 10 lap averages. So I don't think it's going to take, well, he's probably going to crack the top 10 in the opening lap, maybe the first few turns. But I think we're going to see him contending probably near, I don't know, 20, 30 lap mark, something like that. So he's going to be up there. Zilic starting 25th. He was fast in practice, fast 5 lap averages. As you can see, really stands out in terms of place differential upside for him. We're going to talk about the projections and the ownership here. Dane has been working endlessly for the last, I don't know, 3-4 weeks since the NASCAR season started, working on his own projection system and ownership percentage. And the good thing about this projection system is that the system is learning. It's like AI. It's learning every single week on how we projected it, what the results are, what the changes were, is there any outliers going on, and then it makes those adjustments along with our feedback onto those adjustments as well. So we're really excited about where this is headed in terms of projection. It's something that we're working on in PGA too. So make sure to check that out. And like I said, I will have this projection and ownership projection up on the main sheet once the show is over. So as you see, Connor Zilic is sitting here number 1 in projection, number 1 in ownership. Makes a lot of sense. He's one of the best road racers. He is young, so there's going to be some risk there. So this is maybe the pick where I would almost rather have SVG at the same ownership level than Zilic. He's got a lot more experience on the road courses in Cup Series, although Zilic is very good. But as you can see, SVG outside of his 6th place here last year, which was terrible in terms of comparing his other road course races because he won all 5 of them. Won 5 of the 6. He's just absolutely dominated those road races. He won here yesterday, so that's really good to see. So for me, it's SVG over Zilic, even though the huge place differential upside and the upside of his projection, which that projection does make sense starting 25th with his road course experience or road course success in the lower series there. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at that. So I completely agree with those projections this week. We've got Tyler Reddick starting on the pole, won the first 2 races of the season, hottest driver in NASCAR. He now is on the pole at a race where he's won before in 2023, and he's the only driver, one of 2 drivers with Alex Bowman here to finish top 10 in all 5 of the races here at COTA. He's the only driver with 4 top 5s in those 5 races. So I think we need to have some Reddick, but what he's going to need to do when we go and look at like the fantasy matrix here, actually before we do that, we're going to look at some optimal lineup data from the past few years. I added this to Atlanta last week. I added it to the sheet this week. Getting close to having it fully automated, so I hope I can keep it up each and every week for all the races because it is some very useful data to kind of see in terms of lineup construction and what we should probably be targeting. So last year, Christopher Bell started 19th, finished 1st. That's almost like an automatic that he's going to be in the optimal lineup. He was the only driver over 60 points. And if you go to the bottom of these, I have kind of recorded here how many drivers had 60 DK, how many had 50 plus, how many had 40 plus, and how many had 30 plus, just to kind of see where we're at in terms of those optimal lineups and how we should be building. So of course, he had place differential. He did lead 8 laps in there as well, which factored in, get him up to 68.2 points. He was in the ultimate. Kyle Busch started 8th, finished 5th. He led 42 laps, so we did have a dominator in that race. I believe in the last 3 races, we've had a driver lead 40 or more laps. Yep, all the way going back to 2023. And in 2022, Ross Chastain led 31 laps, started 16th. So he give you that place differential plus the dominator points there. So that was awesome to see. And the other times, the Byron led 42 from the pole. Tyler Reddick led 41 from second place. And then, like I said, we had Ross Chastain there. Kyle Busch led 42 from eighth here. So if you're looking for that dominator, I would look probably inside the top five. And honestly, it's Tyler Reddick. You have to decide, obviously, if Ross Chastain, if you think he can pass him. He's been very good. He has won here 2022. Like I said, he give you that crossover dominator points and place differential. The other thing when looking at practice for those two guys in the front row is they were both underwhelming in terms of their fastest lap in practice. Tyler Reddick was 14th and 8th in terms of 5 and 10 lap averages. Ross Chastain 7th and 2nd. So the speed was there a little bit more in terms of the long run speed for Chastain. So I think maybe if he can get out front, because of the price differential, obviously $1,400 on DraftKings here, I do like Chastain a little bit better than Reddick in terms of being the dominator. Just overall, I guess, as a lineup, little bit of a pivot here too in terms of ownership, just simply because Reddick is 28%. About half of that we got here with Ross Chastain. Like I said, if Chastain can get around him early, he's got the long run speed. I think he can get out and maybe lead 15, 20 laps total. And if he gets up into that 40 range like he did in his win, he's definitely going to be in that optimal lineup. Reddick has to do a lot more to be able to make it into that optimal lineup than Chastain, just because of the price difference here. So I think Chastain could probably get away with about 10 or 15 less laps led and still make that optimal lineup. What are you guys thinking? Chastain or Reddick, if you're looking on the front row, or if you're picking out that one dominator, which there's usually one dominator in these races, who's it going to be? I mean, we could also see SVG jump up front, get up there. If he can make it up there cleanly and early enough, he had the long run speed where he could lead too. And then he's giving you that double-digit place differential if he wins. Plus, he's giving you the dominator points. So you're going to have to think about that a little bit as well. But if you're going with SVG, I don't think Reddick is an option. I don't think you're going to be able to jam two guys. If you're going SVG, and I'm just going to go over here, and as we do this, we're going to build some lineups along the way. So we're going to go into this chrome horn here. Some excellent the contests aren't being filled. So if we go SVG, that brings our average down to 74. So that kind of brings us down to here, and we're going to have to probably jam, I don't know, depending if you want to come down and grab a 5K guy, or you just want to sit kind of in that high 6 to high 7K range. You may be able to get Chastain in there if you think maybe early dominator with Chastain, SVG, and then you can come down here. Someone that I like down below, Daniel Suarez stands out. He started in 23rd. He hasn't had any success here really at all. It is positive seeing his the practice. He was 8th in practice. He was 5th and 6th in lap averages, and at 6,900. Let's go look at it here. Kind of looking for that 5-6X. So, I mean, he doesn't need to do a lot. He's going to hit 6X if he gets up into that 12th, 13th place finish, and that 34 is like around 16th. So he's going to need to move up, about 6 to 8 places for him to be in that optimal lineup. I don't think that's too bad considering the speed that he's shown. It's just the road course history here at COTA that maybe is a little bit scary for him. Couple other guys down below here. We've seen Bubba Wallace. He started 24th. He wasn't too bad in terms of his 5 and 10 lap averages. Just looking at overall practice speed, Todd Gilliland, I talked about him in my preview article, and that is over at fantraxhq.com. Each week I go over my favorite drivers. I look at the race. I can't locate it there for now, but yeah, head over to fantraxhq.com. I do a preview race before the qualifying and practice is out, and Todd Gilliland was in there. He finished 10th here last year. It was his only top 10 on road courses, and he's now got 2 top 10s in his last 3 races here, and he's finished 16th or better, so ahead of that starting position in 3 of the 4. I do like that, especially at 6,100. He was 5th in practice. He kind of fell off a little bit in terms of the long run speed, 17th and 23rd and 5 and 10 lap averages, but 5th in that fastest lap there. So at 6,100 for him. We'll scroll down. We'll just have a look here, do some calculations. Looking for about 30 points from him. That puts him in about a 15th place finish. So if he can gain 2 spots during the race and finish 15th, I'm pretty sure he's going to be in that lineup, and we can go ahead and throw him in a lineup like this where you get an early dominator, you get a possible dominator plus double-digit place differential guy, you get a value play in here, and that leaves you around 7,600 in that lineup build right now. Some other guys I talked about, Alex Bowman, love the price on him. He's got a pretty decent projection here, starting 16th. He is the other driver that's finished top 10 in all 5 of the races here. He's got a runner-up in 2022, and then starting 16th at 7,800. He was 7th in practice. The long run speed wasn't quite there, so we're probably looking for a top 10 out of him to probably be in that optimal lineup at 7,800. Kind of looking for that 39 points, and that's right along that border of 10th and 11th place here, depending if he has any fast laps or lap sled, which I don't think we're going to see any lap sled from him. But he can hit 6X when he starts getting into that 7th place or better, which I think is there. So there is a lot of upside with Bowman. He's got good history. He showed some good speed in practice outside of the long range. So I'm definitely looking at that starting 16th. Some risky guys here. Michael McDowell starting 6th. He was super fast in practice. He had the fastest lap in opening practice, 2nd in 5 lap and 5th in 10 lap averages. Ryan Blaney starting 4th. I really like him at 7,500. That makes a lot of sense. He's only got 1 top 10 here, but he was very consistent on the road courses, 5 top 20s last year. I mean, a top 20 isn't going to get you into the optimal lineup here, but he's been consistent on the road courses, kind of what I'm looking at there, but super fast in practice. Love seeing that. He was 2nd behind McDowell, and then he had the fastest 5 and 10 lap averages. So if he can continue that throughout the race and be able to stick inside that top 5 at 7,500. Normally we're seeing him in that 10K range. So seeing him down here this week, I really like, because at 45 points, a top 3 finish, and he's hitting that 6X threshold at 7,500, which is awesome getting that from that range. I don't think I'm going to include him in this lineup. You probably could. We have seen when looking at the optimal lineups in the past, sometimes we get 2 drivers. Last year, there was only 1 driver starting top 10. It was a really heavy double-digit place differential race, plus the dominator in those optimal lineups. The year before, we had the driver starting 1st who dominated, and then we had Christopher Bell starting 4th, who only led 9 laps. He was 10,000 when he made the optimal, starting inside the top 10. The year before, we had 2 starting inside the top 10, 3 inside the top 15. So if you say Blaney gets out, only leads 5 to 10 laps again, 7,500, and finishes top 3. I think even top 5, we're pretty close to having him in the optimal lineup. So there's a nice core for you right there with an SVG lineup. It's giving you 2 drivers starting top 10 that were good in practice, 1 possible early dominator, 1 value play, and 1 guy that can get you double-digit place differential plus that dominator points. So there's a nice build for you there. It doesn't look like Blaney, according to Dane's projections here and how it's set up, isn't going to be too popular. Especially guys are going to be going down to Austin Cindric. Looks like starting 28th, much better road course racer. He finished 2 top 10s back-to-back in 22 and 23 here. Last year he wasn't very good overall. The number 2 car wasn't very good overall. I think that's going to change this year. I mean, I drafted him in our fantasy league, so I'm hoping he does. But he's a guy that we want to target on these courses, road courses. He's 14th in overall practice. Still, he was top 20 in the 5 and 10 lap averages. So at 7,200, he doesn't really need a lot of movement for him to probably be in that optimal lineup. Like 43 points, we're only looking at here like a 14th place finish, which is going to give him that double-digit place differential, and he'll easily be in that lineup. If he even sniffs the top 10, we're looking at excellent value. So I can definitely see, and I totally agree with the ownership projections here on him. Denny Hamlin started 19th. He was terrible in practice, didn't have a really good practice whatsoever. He's been ho-hum here. I think road courses are one of his worst track types, so not really looking at him. I think that's probably why we see the ownership about 10% less than Cindric. Daniel Suarez is another heavy owned one down here. And then going down into that 5K range, we see guys like Noah Gragson, Eric Jones, who are started near the back of the pack. Gregson had an 8th place finish here last year, which is excellent to see. Eric Jones has got a top 10 in 2022. So both of them, while there's a lot of variance in their results here, they give you that elite place differential. Maybe not elite, but they're going to give you that 10 to 20 possibly place differential upside. And neither of them really showed much in practice. Gregson did show top 20 speed in the long run speed, so I probably would lean Gregson over Eric Jones here, but both look like they're going to get some ownership just because of that place differential upside that's there. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. kind of in that same boat, maybe a little bit lower owned, which is nice because he's cheaper. He's had an 18th place finish last year and a top 10 in 2023, so he kind of fits that bill of guys down here in that 5K range. Those are 3 guys that I'll definitely consider. Jesse Love is interesting. I don't know what to think completely of him, but starting 27th, he was 11th in practice and 12th and 11th in 5 and 10 lap averages. So, I mean, even if he can get up to the 20th, these guys down in this 5K range, we'll just kind of look at him first. They're all kind of starting in the same range, but he's starting closer forward. So 33 points from him. It's just barely scratching inside the top 20, and he is hitting that 6X. So anything from that, let's just say 15th to 20th place, and he's going to be crushing at 7, maybe even possibly 8X. So doesn't really scare me away from using these top guys today at these prices, considering that we can probably grab one in the 5K, one in the 6K. If we wanted to build this one a little bit different, let's just go Jesse Love in here. We could probably, if we go Gilliland and Love, you don't want Blaney, we can jump up. You can even go Zilich if you want to go those two together. I don't think I'm going to go that route. Probably looking at, let's just say Chris Buescher here. You're still left with 9K. Yeah. So there is some excellent value here today that I think will allow us to build almost any way that we want to on both sites, which is really nice. Is there any drivers that I haven't maybe mentioned yet? If I haven't, you've got questions about them, make sure to throw up in the chat. We got about 5 to 10 minutes left here. And then I've got a kid's birthday party to get to. It started last night, sleepover, and I made pizzas. Today it is breakfast, so we're on to pancakes and that sort of thing. And I still got 4 girls running around, so I imagine we'll be hearing them real soon. So we'll close things out here about 5-10 minutes, talk about a few more drivers that I think will stand out in terms of our lineup builds today, and then talk about a few bets here as well using the DK Sportsbook. Kyle Busch looks like he's going to take on some ownership here this week. He is top 5 in ownership percentage. He is top 5 in projection, starting 30th. He's got 3 straight top 10s here, runner-up in 2023, 4 top 10s in the 5 races at COTA. Excellent to see. He had 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s in road courses last year. Excellent to see. I'm not really worried about the form coming off of Atlanta and Daytona, super speedways. So I'm kind of crossing that off my list of things I'm looking for. But again, he's got elite place differential upside. He was 6th in practice. The long run speed wasn't there. But again, if Kyle Busch at 8K finishes top 15, we are in the 6X range, and if he can get up there and scratch another top 10 out, we're looking at 54 points. We're getting up into that 7X range, so definitely liking that for Kyle Busch here today. It makes sense. So, Dane, good job on you. The projections, I was a little suspect last week with a few drivers. This week, I absolutely love it, what it's put together. So thank you for putting all that hard work into the projections for this NASCAR sheet. It really helps us, points us in the right direction with some guys that and the fact that it's learning, it's looking at the ownership from this week, comparing it to what the ownership actually was, and then adjusting going forward based on all the factors that he's got in there. And it's a very complex projection system that looks at a lot of different factors. So like I said, each and every week it is going to get better and better and better based on the AI learning and stuff like that, and Dane's and some of my feedback as well, and adjustments that we make to those. So talked about Alex Bowman as the one of only 2 drivers finished top 10 here every race. Some guys I'm not really on. Kyle Larson I'm probably going to stay away from. Chase Elliott won here in 2021, has 3 top 5s in those races, but starting 5th, I think he's going to need to lead some laps. If we're going to be looking to him, he showed some speed, so I think he can finish top 5, but let's just break him down here just for a second. starting fifth, even just to get to the 5X, we're going to need him to finish second for him to hit that 6X, which is kind of what we're looking for like winning the GPP, 6X or more. For his price, we are looking at him to get up front and lead some laps. I just don't see that happening. I think there's better ways to go. Let's go down and look at some guys in this range. Joey Logano starting 20th, showed 0 speed in practice, or the 5 and 10 lap averages, probably staying away from him at 20th. I would rather go Austin Cindric here, starting 28th, showed better practice speed. Going to be higher owned, but Ryan Preece is another one that stands out in terms of the projection. That's DK projection. The ownership projection is actually down, starting 29th. He didn't have practice speed. He was consistent last year on the road courses. He had 2 top 10s, 5 top 20s, so I think a top 20 would be very good. He hasn't really had the results here yet, so I think that's where a lot of the projection. I forgot to ask Dane how he factored in this week, because this is the first week with practice, how that practice factored into that projection, and how that's working out. So I'm very excited to see as we even go forward more, like I said, and how it's going to adjust to practice and qualifying in that formula that he's got put together in the model for projections. So I do understand the ownership being a little bit lower just because of the no results here in terms of the track history. But I do like the consistency, like I said, that he showed on road courses last year. And just looking at him, if he's going to be super low owned here, 35 points is going to get us just inside a top 20. So if he can scratch 9 places forward, 10 places forward, maybe give you that double-digit place differential, he could be one of those low-owned drivers that could be in the GPP. Like I said, there's a little bit of risk there because he hasn't had the results here, but he is a consistent road racer, and he's going to be really low-owned this week. So definitely someone that I am going to look towards in my GPP lineups. Okay, let's look at a few bets here. Let's look at the outright first. Obviously, SVG way ahead of everyone at plus 125. Not really interested in that. I'll kind of go the other direction, maybe do 1 or 2 others in case SVG doesn't win. And for me, I like Ryan Blaney plus 700. We talked about him over there. Ross Chastain at plus 900. Those are probably the 2 guys that I would go outright in the SVG fade, we'll call it. And then I do like some in the top 10 market. A lot of negative numbers here, but I do like number 1, Alex Bowman. I put on my playbook already. In top 10, like I said, he's one of only 2 drivers to finish top 10 here in all 5 races at COTA. So plus 280, I do like that number. Chris Buescher, we talked about him a little bit, plus 260. There's a little more risk there, but I do like that plus 260 number. I think we can get on board with that as well. And then Austin Cindric, who I talked about, a little bit of a long shot, but plus 650 is a pretty good number to go top 10 with him. So I'll be jumping on that as well. And the playbook for this week, there's my first 3 drivers that I got up in the playbook. SVG, number 1 here. Like I said, he gives you that double-digit place differential and dominator upside. Talked about Ryan Blaney, Chris Buescher, and Alex Bowman just now. Alex Bowman over here. I'm going to have Chris Buescher. Chris Buescher up here as well as my top 10 bets. And then I talked about Ryan Blaney there and Ross Chastain as outrights. You'll find the full DK core, FanDuel core, my top 5 for each range, and all my bets on the playbook here on the main sheet. It will be updated within the next hour or 2 leading up to the race. And if you're not a member, like I said, make sure you get over to patreon.com/Jagerbombs. Find that all sports package. And for $5 for the first month, you're going to get that all sports package, regular price $25 a month. You're going to get all of our NASCAR stuff and all sports, which right now, including all the different series within the different sports, there is 10 to 11 different sports going on. We have cheat sheets. We have core plays. We have core lineup builds. We've got Discord chat, injury news, stats analysis, much, much more, just for $5. Unbeatable value, people. Get over there, patreon.com/Jagerbombs, all sports package. Use code Jaeger5, Jager, number 5. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Good luck today. And if you have any questions, hit me up in Discord or leave your comments below, please. And I really, really appreciate it if you leave likes and any comments. Help out a lot with the algorithm to help build this show back up to where we were a few years ago. So really excited to be back. We're into race number 3 of the season. Let's go win a GPP. Good luck, everyone.